Obsession. Prosecution, please come to the witness stand. Please state your case, Mrs. Into.
I was giving a test, and the only options available were pro-evolution, when evolution is a theory, not a fact.
Objection!
Overruled. Continue, Mrs. Into.
I want to give my students the opportunity to choose themselves, not have me choose for them or any curriculum they have.
I think evolution should be taught in schools for many reasons. First, I'd like to say what homologous structures are. Homologous structures are structures that are parts of the body that are similar in structure to other species' comparative parts. These similarities are evidence that life on our Earth has a common ancient ancestor that the diverse species have evolved from time. The common ancestry of the species can be seen in the structure and development of these homologous structures, even if their functions are different. The more closely the organisms are related, the more similar the homologous structures between organisms. Most examples of homologous structures revolve around the limbs of the species being compared. The bone structure within those limbs are similar between closely related species. The flipper of a whale, the wing of a bat, the leg of a cat are very similar to the human arm, even though the bone structure in these limbs of the mammals are very similar. The function of the limb itself is very different. These functions evolved through natural selection as the common ancient ancestor underwent speciation to make all of the diversity we have on Earth today. And those are the reasons I think evolution should be taught in schools. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Into, your turn.
Thank you, Your Honor. Although Mrs. Evo had convincing points, I believe that I can counter them well. She used the word homologous to mean biological structures in different creatures that seem to correspond together, pointing to a common ancestor. Now, it is possible to trace various animals to genetic systems from its past. However, on the surface, the homologous structures are based on totally non-homologous genetic systems. In other words, the homologous structures have been brought up by different genetic paths. Had it been found that the identical gene made it possible for similar structures, evolution would actually have a good point on their homologous structures argument. The alimentary canal, found in many vertebrates, has been found to form along completely different genetic lines in different species. Now, the evolutionists believe that we all came from a common ancestor, but if people or animals on this side have the same parts as animals on this side, then it doesn't really make sense because although they came from one, they're on different sides of the paths. So, bottom line, homology in other species can't be traced to similar genes in same species. Common design can point to a common pattern of a designer. Point to a common pattern of a designer. Evolutionist side of homology is deeply flawed and highly subjective.
Both cases are explained well. Now you can call the witnesses to the stands, lawyers.
I would first like to call up a student of mine who does not believe in evolution.
I took a test that only had choices for evolution. I've studied evolution most of my life, and I've determined that there are too many flaws in the theory to be considered fact. Homologous structures is too big of a leap to prove the transition of species to species. It's all basically hypothetical.
Homologous structures prove the existence and how they adapted to different purposes as a result of descent modification. So I think they should only teach evolution because it is the only correct theory. Now, I think this will be a hard decision to make. Jury, take your time deciphering the verdict: Darwinian evolution or intelligent design.
Patrick and his big peanut guy! It's a little ditty called